Thank you for joining me today to get a high-level overview about BIMrx Fabrication and BIMrx Core. We're going to be looking at some of the updated workflows that version 3.2 has added to our arsenal and how those fit into our overall workflows. A couple quick reminders before we start. First, this webinar is part of a series, and if you would like to see the What's New in 3.2 specific webinar, that's already available on demand. Second, there's a questions section in the GoToWebinar window that you can type your questions into as we go. I've got some teammates here who will respond if they can. Otherwise, we can just go through those questions at the end of the session. There will also be just open Q&A at the end of the session as well, if you decide to hold your question until then. Now, let's put a face to the voice real quick. My name is Ed, and I'm a Strategic Implementation Manager here at Microdesk. I'm also the BIMrx MEP and Fabrication Product Owner. I've been heavily involved with automation and BIM adoption over the years, and I've seen all those struggles firsthand. So Microdesk also noticed these struggles in modeling workflows, and we decided to band together and fix them. So I'm here to share that with everyone else. Before we jump into that live demo there, I want to talk a little bit about what BIMrx is. So BIMrx was built to enhance and simplify Revit and BIM 360. Each of the modules is purpose-built to get projects out the door faster, and it allows you to spend less time on low-level tasks and more time focused on design. BIMrx Core, MEP, and Fabrication are built to be part of Revit, while Cloud Manager is a standalone application. BIMrx is built to streamline the entire BIM project lifecycle, from views and model production to collaborating with stakeholders and project administration. Today, we're here to talk about BIMrx Fab and Core. Core is the foundation for all of our BIMrx products and is focused on project setup, model management, and documentation. Fabrication exists to speed up, fabrication workflows. So it's assisting in modeling, detailing, and documenting those models. So BIMrx automates those manual, repetitive tasks, and our team can spend their time on the things that matter most. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to Revit now, and we can jump in. So let's go ahead and follow that project lifecycle here, right? I've got a model that I'm working on. If we take a look on the left, I've probably already done some stuff for the lower levels, but I've got these two brand new towers that my architect has just sent me. I really need to get those set up. So if we want to go ahead and set those levels up, I've already done that. And what we really need to do now is get some views and sheets. So to build those views out, I'm going to go ahead and leverage some of the commands in Core. The first one we're going to look at is a Scope Box Manager. That's letting me look directly into the architect's model, grab some of their scope boxes, and bring them into my model. You'll also notice on the bottom, it's trying to pay attention. So if any of these things move, I can jump right back in and move them back so that they match. No more interns moving something, no more funny business, and the architect changes it, we don't have to do much. We just let it do it itself. So I brought those scope boxes in because I plan to use those to help generate my views. So as we jump in here and we take a look, this is the Sheet View Manager. And if you look on the left, you can actually see the workflow we're about to run through. So I'm going to actually run through each of these windows here to create our sheet set. Now, this original window, configuration settings, is all the information I'm going to use as I build out those views and sheets. Now, this is all saved into an Excel file that I reuse from project to project. Because all of my views are generally named the same, I use the same groups, I use the same teams, I can reuse these same Excel files through the entire project. So let's go ahead and see that happen. As I jump to create views, I'm choosing a trade I want to work with. Some levels I need those views for, and because these are the overalls, I don't really want a scope box. If I hit apply here, we'll see down on the bottom, it's populating with all the information that came from that settings. This is everything that I'm about to use to create those views. Hit that in the bottom right, and we can see that takes about 1.2 seconds to create 8 views for me. Very, very quick. Now, creating views isn't the big heavy lifter though. What I really think the heavy lifter is jumping in to duplicate those, and not just duplicate them, but duplicate them as a dependent. So if we wanted to do this manually, it's incredibly quick. We can jump down, find that view we want to work with. Maybe I want to go grab that M Mechanical 5, and I can actually just choose the tower views. And if I hit apply right here, we'll see that it's generating 2 separate views for those, a tower A and a tower B view. But again, because I do all of this repetitively from project to project. I can immediately jump in here and import from an Excel file instead. So jumping back to those supporting documents, I've got my duplicate views Excel. Again, I use this for every project. Jump right in, same process set up, but for all of my levels instead. Hitting duplicate across the bottom, and we'll see that populate in a couple seconds. So while that populates and runs, I'd like you to go ahead and think of that manual process that we just ran through. How long would that actually take you to right click each of those views and duplicate as a dependent? All right. Incredibly long is the answer, right? And while we're only doing this for one set, I'm sure you can imagine doing this for all of your trades all at the same time. So moving down to create sheets, which works incredibly similar to create views. I choose my view set, choose my levels, apply, populate my data grid. All that stuff shows up. Again, these are what my sheets are going to be named and all the choices. If I did want to change something, I could immediately jump in and change it right here and choose something else. Entirely up to me. Clicking create sheets, takes 0.7 seconds to create them. Again, very, very quick. And where would I be if I didn't round this out by actually generating that set by putting those views on the sheets? Again, a very long process. Maybe you've automated the sheet creation, maybe you've automated the view creation. Actually putting those views on sheets is still a very lengthy process. So jumping in here, what do you know? I've got an Excel table that I use from project to project to load in and call it out, calling up the sheet I want, the views I want on those sheets, and exactly where I would like them placed so that I can have a consistent sheet set between my individual trade, but also if I did this for all trades at once, I could have a consistent sheet set across my entire model. We will actually look like it's one company putting out these entire, different trades. It's a really nifty process. So this one takes a little bit longer than the others to run. It's still very quick compared to the manual process. And there we go, about 14 seconds to place 16 of those views. Closing out of that sheet view manager, we can go take a look, pop open one of those plans, and we'll see a really nice sheet set up. Those two towers, each split up, using scope boxes lined up against the right-hand side of my screen and top and middle. Incredibly quick process. I could issue my skeleton set today, and I did that in about 10, not even 10 minutes. I think this session's been running maybe 5 minutes. So very quick process. So now that I've set my project up, it's really about time to start doing some modeling and populating it. Now I've got some of this stuff in here already, but plenty more that I can do as well. So I'm going to start down in this area and we can take a look at what we can do here. So a really cool thing about BIMrx is that it really lets you model in a 3D view. So I'm doing a little bit more than just, sitting over here in 2D, moving stuff around, cutting sections. I can, I really use the 2D view now as more as a reference guide. So I'm actually doing most of my stuff in 3D, just taking a reference over here in 2D. So let's go ahead and see how we can model with BIMrx. If we jump up into Fabrication, we've got the entire ribbon running across here. So a couple new additions you might see if you've seen it before. We've got heel pipe showing up, and we've got some updates to the hangers we'll take a look at in a minute. For now, let's go ahead and run through some really quick modeling down here. The first thing I'd like to show you, I'm going to use this bloom command coming out of some of these fittings over here. Now, I don't have all of my headers finished yet. I need to run them the rest of the way and connect out to the hallway. So I'm going to do that. If I bloom right out of this fitting, we'll see it gives me an extension, but even better, it's also giving me that flange, right? Anytime we've got a service that's already got that information set up, we are absolutely following those routing exclusions to build these out. So yes, I am placing flanges as needed, and we can see that happen down here as well. Give myself an extension here and here. Now, if we take a look at some of these, they're going to be easy to connect. A couple of these I can probably trim the corner with, the basic tools that already exist. But a couple of these two on the upper rack, not nearly as easy to deal with. So how can we start working with those? Well, I can use some of my elbow commands that let me drop some elbows down, and I can pair that up with some of my alignment commands to make these an incredibly quick connection. So let's see that happen. If I jump over here and I elbow this element up, I give myself a little spot to work with. Cool trick for anyone here. This is a general Revit trick. If you choose an element downstream, go to the top stream and click the tab key. You actually grab all elements from where you clicked down to the last element you selected. So super nifty generally in Revit. Incredibly nifty when we pair it with the rotate fitting command. So if I use our rotate fitting command, it allows me to select an element and rotate about that element. So if I know I want this to rotate 45 degrees, I can give it a 45-degree rotation. But wait, Ed, that went the wrong way. You know, sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly which one is positive or negative. Until you get it right, it's really quick to just hit it with a negative value afterwards. So again, you'll notice I'm not necessarily clicking all these buttons, right? Everything you see me do, every command in BIMrx can be keyboard shortcutted. And we remember your previous selection. So it's very, very quick to just key that command up again and choose something different. It's also very nice because we can kind of use that to try out a few different design options. Maybe I want to see what this looks like at a 30-degree bend instead. I could rotate my fitting and do that 30 degrees, right? We've got a whole bunch of options. Makes it easier to test stuff out because we're not going to a million views every time we decide to. So I've got one elbow going in the right direction. Let's get another elbow. Let's get that one going in the right direction. Again, I'm going to grab that guy. We'll tab down to it. We'll rotate our fitting, grab our element. Now that we know we're going negatives, hit it with a negative, and we're good to go. So sitting over here, I've got a couple pipes going kind of in the right direction, but still nothing lined up, right? Well, I don't want to have to do that in 2D. I could probably do it in 2D, but I don't want to jump over there if I don't have to. So I can use a line branch. Oh, and if I use a line branch, we'll make sure to actually click the pipe and not the joint. And there we go. Without moving it up, down, left, or right, it causes an extension of that pipe to move that elbow and extension over to a point where I can use trim to corner to bring those together. You can see that again, align branch, choosing my main, choosing my run, slides it over perfectly, trim to corner, and we're back together. Super, super quick process. So that align branch is extra cool because it works with more than just, flat pipe. If we take a look over here, I've got an 1/8 inch slope, I've got a 1/4 inch slope, and I've got no slope. I can use a line branch on the 1/8 or the 1/4 to align both of those slope pipes up, maintaining their individual slopes, but allowing me to use trim extend for that final connection. Again, no transitions, no nothing, perfectly flat. And if we run into a scenario where I've got no slope, but it needs a slope, I can use a line branch plus to inherit that slope as I am doing it. So there I go. I've also got the slope inherited now. And maybe you do want to use those elbow commands in 2 dimensions. Maybe you're looking to drop some elbows down over here so you can grab a few of those elements and move them into the wall, right? Like I said, I'm a big fan of using the 2D view as a reference and doing that heavy lift and modeling, coordination against other trades. I'll do that in the 3D view instead. So works with slope pipe as well. Really works with everything, right? We're just trying to make your current workflows easier to do. Let's see a couple other spots where these modeling commands really excel. Maybe I want to copy something in 3D. And I can go ahead and grab these elements and I can copy these things over. Now you'll notice those flanges aren't coming. And I do have a flange here. Maybe I delete it. I'll show you something really quick we can do. So that bloom command that I was using on individual elements, we can do that on a piece of equipment. You will notice because I'm doing it on a piece of equipment that isn't already routed, it's not giving me the flanges, right? So in some circumstances, you may still need to do the very quick create similar and drop those flanges down, right? No big deal. You just move it nice and over, make sure you can see it, and a quick up arrow gets those things connected, right? So having those flanges in here, I can then use move connect to bring the rest of these elements together and make sure they're connected. So the move connect command is allowing me to choose 2 elements and it move connects them. Choose 2 elements, move connects them. And you'll notice I move my pump off because I chose this as my stationary, right? We undo and do that move connect in the reverse with this is a stationary and this is a moving element. We'll see it do exactly what I want it to do. And then we'll do a move connect down here. Get those close. Now we're pretty lined up, but I want to make sure we are. I can use my align branch again to confirm these are perfectly aligned. And then I can use my trim extend for that final connection. So I can copy in 3D, I can route together in 3D. It all works really, really smooth. And one last one for you, because this is a really annoying situation. Maybe you want to bloom your floor drain out. And then maybe you want to use move connect to connect your P-trap. Maybe you want to bloom your P-trap. And then maybe you want to use align branch plus to line your P-trap up against your underground routing, and then maybe you want to use trim extend for the final connection down there. Very, very, very quick process. So that's just a little bit of pipe routing for you. We'll take a little bit of look at some ductwork stuff in a minute. One last thing I'd like to show you on this pipe routing. Super common to run into this, right? I've got a T, I don't really need it anymore. I delete it out, I trim these back together, but now I get these sections of pipe that I don't really want. So I don't necessarily have an easy way to fix that. I'd probably have to delete stuff and extend one of these elements out. This is our brand new command, heal pipe. It allows me to grab those sections that I want to be a single pipe, go back to fabrication and ask it to heal those pipes for me. It generates it back as that individual pipe, which I can then optimize later based on whatever changes and settings I've dealt with. Very, very nifty tool. Makes fabrication even easier to handle. So let's move down this way and take a look at maybe some hanger work and a little bit of duct work. So if we move into this space and we take a look, we might notice, and let me rotate so it's a little easier to see here. I've got some ductwork that is actually sitting below and some ductwork sitting above. I've also got this duct over here and some pieces that might need to connect together. We can do a lot of that really quickly. And again, these things work in 2D or 3D. So if I want to align branch in 2D, I could do that and just adjust these heights so everything matches. I could then do a very quick trim extend to bring these elements together. Because we're just trying to leverage the commands that BIMrx or Revit already has for us. I might have some air terminals floating around. Those air terminals might be rotated because I copied them from some other portion of the model. I could use move connect to very quickly connect the flat ones. And we'll see those moving over near immediately. All right. And then for that rotated one, I could use something like move connect align to automatically rotate that element as it does the connection as well. And we see that lines up perfectly. Now, if we take a look, I probably need that duct to route and connect to something. If I go straight though, I'm going to be going through that pipe. So on my guess, I'm probably bringing that down to my lower element. So sure, cut some section views and do that, or elbow 45 down to give myself that down run. Elbow 45 up to bring myself to a level off. Look underneath, get close, use align branch. Line our elements up, use trim extend to bring them back together for that final connection. Very, very quick to model. When we start linking these commands together and using those references, I can make sure that everything I've done is avoiding all those other elements. So now that I've got a clean area, I've done a little bit of routing, I want to go ahead and throw a few hangers in here. So my favorite way to run the hanger command is to select something in the 2D view, grab that entire run, and then just run it on those elements. Now, very quickly, I'm going to jump in and let's just drop that hanger array. Now that hanger array is generated from inside our hanger array configurations. We actually set up mapping settings for each service that's in your model. If you'd like to know more and see deeper about how those configuration settings work, feel free to reach out. We can set up a separate session to dive even deeper into these elements. So you'll notice a whole bunch of elements just dropped there. I can click finish and we can go take a look. And if we zoom in, we'll see that those hangers dropped and they're kind of sitting down here. Not too bad, not too shabby. But maybe I don't really like that the middle hanger here is going right up through that in-between space. I probably want to extend that out and trapeze across all of these elements to make something a little more realistic. So if I was going to do that, how would I go about that? Well, we actually have a trapeze command, and we've updated that trapeze command to be even more intelligent. So that hanger trapeze command that I have now allows me to go ahead and grab all of these trapezes, click finish for my selection, and then I can go ahead and choose my host side. So I'm going to say I want to go from, that maybe lower element down here, and I'm going to get real close so I can make sure I'm selecting the one I want. There we go. And then I want to choose an element to the furthest left. And if I had a linked model, I could actually choose a linked element here as well. Since I just have that pipe, I'll click the pipe. And then I want to choose another element to the right. If I had even more elements to the right to avoid, I could choose those as well. The idea being the first element you choose is your host. And then we're choosing any additional elements that we want to avoid as we do that trapeze. So at this point, if I click OK, we'll see it spread across all those elements, maintaining its holding down at the bottom, but avoiding anything above it that we've asked it to avoid. Very, very quick process. We'll also notice that it is dropping those points down. If I extend this up, we will see that there are hanger points sitting up here at the top. Those points are intelligent. What do I mean by intelligent? I mean they got an A+ on their report card. No, I mean that if we move these things back and forth, they move with it. So those points are tracking, they are locked to it, they're moving with it. And if we do decide that we want to maybe change those rod lengths for one reason or another, we can also jump in and we have a hanger rod extension. So if I go ahead and maybe give this a -6 inches here for one of those rods, I could actually treat each rod individually as well and maybe not extend the other one. And we'll see that one rod is lowered, one rod is higher. And we know it's near impossible to know which one is rod 1 and which one is rod 2. So we decided to take care of that with a nice little swap rod lengths button. So don't worry about which one's 1 or 2. Place your numbers in that you know need to exist. Swap your rod lengths to be more correct. Very, very quick process. And then when we're ready, all good and done, I'm happy with my hangers. We can do an incredibly quick export to total station. All it needs us to do is select those points. I like to do it from a 3D view, making sure I'm only seeing the elements I want. And it just generates that exact export we need, loads directly into total station. And if we want to see that Excel file very quickly, a quick jaunt to my desktop. In there we have that CSV opening up. And there we go, given a quick description, an XYZ location, and automatically numbering those points. So we've done some detailing, we've done some modeling, we need to keep going. There's probably some more stuff we need to do. I probably need to do some documentation. Maybe I need to do some spooling. Maybe I need to do some tagging or numbering. Maybe there's some data I need to include. Well, we can do all of those things. Let's take a look at that data stuff real quick. So if you've been familiar with BIMrx, we have the sync Fab Parameters command. We actually just moved it though to the show pane. We're trying to make it even easier to use. So what do I mean by even easier? Well, if you click any fabrication element, as we look inside that show pane, it's going to show us all of the database parameters associated with it. That stuff we generally don't get access to, we now have access to. And if there's any value in here that you want to be able to include in a schedule, or you want to have show up in your properties, all you need to do is come right over here, click the plus, and we'll see that that value starts showing up over here in our properties. And anytime we want that value to update and sync, all we need to do is click the EQ and it updates and syncs only that one value. The reason we're doing that one value at a time, we have found if you try to update everything you've loaded, you might be waiting for a little bit. So if you need just the one, you can do just the one. And there we go with that value syncing over there. Really nifty command. So moving on from that, I probably need to do a little bit of more, information stuff, maybe get some tagging, maybe get some numbering in here. Let's go ahead and see a real quick workflow inside Core. So I can jump into Core. I can use our renumber command to go ahead and very quickly renumber a whole bunch of these VAVs. Now what's cool about renumber is it lets me do a pre-select first. We have this really nifty command, filter select, that lets me leverage the view filters already built into my project and lets me use them as a selection command. So I can grab all of my VAV boxes because I have a view filter for my VAV boxes. I can then jump to Core, run my renumber command to see all of those VAVs. If we take a look, I get to even choose where we're writing to. So if I go look at comments, we might see, hey, there's nothing in comments. If we look at mark though, hey, these were previously numbered in mark. So I'm going to use mark because that's likely where my tag's going. I can then give these things a prefix, maybe VAV. Maybe I want to give an L1 because I know these are L1 VAVs. And then what do I want for a suffix? Maybe nothing at all. And how about that? Immediately, I've got some renumbered items. And if I wanted to go ahead and draw a spline that runs through and touches these, I could even renumber based on a spline instead. We can get incredibly specific with these renumbers. Now, all I'm going to do here is click apply. It's going to go ahead and write that value to each of my VAV boxes, but where would I be if I didn't tag them? So we have a few options for tagging here. We have a brand new command called tag all. And if we use a command like tag all, we can go ahead and grab entire views. So maybe I'd want to grab that level 1 mechanical working view. And maybe I want to go ahead and tag this entire view with my mechanical equipment tagging. I can go ahead and execute that. And there it goes. Placed all my mechanical equipment tags down. There we go with those brand new item tags that I just placed. We can do this everywhere, incredibly quick to tag our elements, incredibly quick to do all of this. And if you're wondering exactly how my item got placed dead center there, well, my tag was built out to do that. We have a giant tag settings profile that you can build out for any category you want with as many, and this is really cool, as many tags as you want at the same time. Really nifty command. So we've done some tagging, we've done some renumbering. Really the last thing I probably want to do here is generate a spool. So let's make a spool real quick. Jumping back to that header area over here, I am going to spool that header. Now, I'm a big fan of doing this in 3D. You can really do it anywhere you want though, right? As long as you have the ability to select elements, you can select your elements. I am just a stickler for making sure I don't over select or get something I didn't intend to select. So jump into Fabrication, pop and open that Spool Manager real quick. I can go to my options and we have a whole bunch of things we can set here for how it's going to look. Now I've already set mine up, so I know what I'm going to create looks pretty decent. I can choose some elements, create my assembly. What's cool about creating it here is it follows my prefix and naming. I can go ahead and grab that assembly, generate some views for it. And while those couple seconds of view generation takes place, I want you to also notice this is more than just a generator and a creator, it's a manager. It lets us group and sort and filter, so we can actually search through that list of assemblies that can get thousands long, makes it much easier to figure out what we're dealing with. And once you've found it and chosen the one you want to work with, we can open those spools up right there with the open spool view, and there we go. There's my auto-generated spool, couple automatic 2D dimensions, some more 2D dimensions, and I've got item number tags set up to be shown over here, linked up to my item numbers that are showing up over here. How about that? A spool in only a few seconds. So we've done our spools, we've done all those elements, everything's fine and dandy. One last thing I'd like to show you, maybe we want to jump in and work with some revisions. Maybe I know that these spools I created, maybe these are part of some change order. Well, if I jump up, I've got a change order up here, right? So if I go grab those elements, I can actually push a revision onto the sheet, even if there's no bubbles. So there I go. Now I've got that revision pushed on sheet. Now what's extra cool is I can then filter by revisions. So I can have a mix of revision on sheets and revisions that exist. And I could filter down to get just those elements, grab all of them, and generate a print set. No more searching through your entire document set. Let BIMrx do that for you. And once I generate that print set, I can go ahead and just print it. I could also use something like our export NWC to automatically go in here and let me choose a collection of 3D views, or if we want to be really intelligent about it, look for a prefix of views and export every view with that prefix to the same folder. I don't need to open up a million 3D views. I just need to have them all named similarly, and we're good to go. And wow, you know, I've actually probably shown you more than I need to show you right now. So I think we got to take a pause on this. You've already learned too much. And let's go ahead and jump back to that PowerPoint there. And I want to highlight one other really cool thing for you. So there is some more. One of the biggest additions to BIMrx is the integration of Core and Cloud Manager. So those PDFs and NWC files we were looking at, we can actually export those on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So I just showed you how to create those print sets with the revision manager. And we also just took a look at how to, export those NWCs out, right? We can actually take that print set and automate it on demand or on a schedule, however you want, right? Can let Cloud Manager run it for us. And real quick, let's take a look at these time savings. Realistically, the more elements you need to modify, the more time you're going to save using BIMrx. The real question, how much time are you wasting by not having it? So we just saw a large portion of these commands, and we learned all about the time savings and workflows that we can associate. Beyond what we've seen today, Fabrication includes even more incredible commands, allowing for tons of ways to speed up those workflows. I'm certain you benefit from not just one, but many of the features here. And I hope you got a small taste of what BIMrx can do for your project teams. We are also continuously evolving and improving BIMrx. We'd absolutely love to hear from customers like you about the stuff that you want to see. So we've made that even easier. You can submit your ideas for improvements or brand new commands directly to the BIMrx website. Be a part of helping us make BIMrx even better. So this presentation is part of the webinar series. So please check out our other webinars on Core, Cloud Manager, and MEP. You can also jump to our website or YouTube channel to see recordings of webinars and learn more about what Microdesk and BIMrx can do for your projects. You can read all about existing commands and features, watch videos, or subscribe to BIMrx so you can stay up to date with all the latest news. Now, I really appreciate everyone taking the time out of your day to learn about BIMrx. For more information, please visit the BIMrx or Microdesk website. You'll be able to view products, schedule demos, and get in touch with the right people.